So what we want to happen is once we click our button, we want to get the values from both those input fields and send that off into the server as a post. So we're sending it over to our post route that we've created. So the post route is just going to be users, and then this is where we're going to add in a brand new user into our database. And also this is a good opportunity where we can output our database. So let's take a look and we're going to see how we can do that. So the button, once the button is clicked, we can get rid of this. And we want to grab some values. So let's do a variable user, and we'll grab the user information from the input with a name equal to user. And we'll grab the value out of there. And variable password equals input name equal to pass. And then value. So we've got the two parameters, and we need to send that over to the server. So the shorthand method, in order to do that, we're going to use post. So this is the shorthand method. And we just need to specify where we're posting to. So going back to over here, we're posting over to users. And that's the path where we're posting to. And then let's see that return data. So we'll see what the server responds back within their return. And we'll console log it out on the front end. So it's console log data. So there we go. So we'll try this out first. And of course, we're not going to get any parameters. We need to refresh, post, sent. So this is actually the message that's coming from over here where we've got post, sent. And we'll see what we see over here. So we're not getting into the parameters being sent yet, but we can see that we've got post, sent, and we can, now we're ready to, we've got the full round. So going our data coming from our front end being sent to the back end, although we're not picking it up yet on the back end because we haven't sent it properly within the front end. So let's set that up, and where we're going to set actually sending our data is to serialize the form. So give it an ID, my form, sounds good. And this way, if we extend the number of form inputs, it's going to be really easy to pass that information back. And we're still listening for that form response. So let's grab that form with the ID of my form, and we'll serialize. This is a really useful JavaScript function, and we're going to use done. So once it completes, then we want to do something, we want to grab that data. So let's grab it on done, and we'll just simply console log it out into the front end, just like what we were doing before. And I gotta get rid of this part still before we continue. So let's refresh the page, send some data over, and we can see that we're picking it up here now. So whatever information we're sending, we're actually ready to make use of it within the backend. So we've got the user and the password. So now it's just a matter of inserting it into our data object, and that would insert whatever's from the front end being sent to the back end. And you can see that it's being nicely output within a JSON format, so it's very readable here. And we also need to update the response so we can respond back with that information that we've sent here. So let's set that up now. So we've got users, so this is the route that it's going into, and this is where we want to create a user. So far all we're doing is we're outputting the body. And we know that with the body, so actually within our data, we've got user, password, and ID. So the user on the front end is not going to know the ID, and we don't want them to set the ID. So we know that this is an array of users, so we can just use the length and increment it by 1 in order to set up an ID that we can use. So let's set that up, and we're really simulating a lot of what a database would typically do here. So we've got request body ID, data, users, and length, and we need to add 1 to it. So let's do that. And then let's move the request body stuff past that. Click that one. And we can see that every time we click it, well, right now we're still getting 3 because we're not actually adding it into our array yet. So let's take care of that as well. And let's add it into our array. So data, users, push, request, body. So we're going to just send it in as JSON format. And we know that within JavaScript, so this is just pushing it into the array, so pushing all of that data into the array. And we can also console log out the data, so we can see that as well. So it looks like we're ready to add. So let's add that in. So this is the first one that we're added in. So this is the user. So let's make a real username. And we'll just do password as well. So we see that this one gets added in. We've got a password there. We've got ID of 4. And if we do another one, we can have as many users as we want. We can add them into our database. So the next objective is to use the other routes that we have. So this post is working. You can try it in Postman as well. So you can see over here that if we send over to the users, we can add in these values as well. So we can add in whatever we have in Postman. So everything is working. So it doesn't matter how we're accessing that route, we're able to deposit information into our data object. So next is updating. We're also going to be looking at deleting and then getting all of those users' information. So we're going to do that from the front end, initiate all of those events and send that information over to the back end and then update our back end data object. So that's all coming up.